And you are watching GVTV News.
Thanks, Renette, and I'm Randy Hansen. In world news headlines today, Syria toll far exceeds 4,000, the UN says. And out of France, Germany backs EU treaty changes in Eurozone crisis. And out of the UN, austerity measures could worsen recession. And U.S. claims Pakistan authorized deadly strike. And Al-Qaeda claims capture of U.S. citizen in Pakistan. And U.S. hands over largest military base in Iraq. The Senate, EU approved Iran sanctions. And U.S. loosens Burma restrictions. Clinton meets Sukhoi. And Obama unveils new target for global AIDS treatment. And Massachusetts sues banks over foreclosure practices. And Occupy D.C. protests Democratic fundraiser. And twin rallies protest U.S.-made tear gas in Egypt. GVTV News would like to say the views expressed in our news broadcast do not necessarily reflect the views of NCTV Digital Media Center. But before these stories, GVTV News would like to thank one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In today's first world news story, the United Nations Human Rights Council is holding an emergency session on Syria amidst the ongoing deadly crackdown by the regime of President Bashar al-Assad. Ahead of the meeting, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Navi Pillay, said the death toll in Syria is likely far above the United Nations estimated 4,000. And said with regards to statistics, I will be giving a statistic, and even a statistic I'm going to give tomorrow is going to be conservative. We are placing the figure at 4,000, but really reliable information coming to us is that it's much more than that. I have said as soon as there are more defectors threatening to take up arms, I said this August before the Security Council, that there's going to be a civil war, and at the moment that's how I am characterizing this. European leaders are preparing to unveil their plans for addressing the sovereign debt crisis that threatens to tear apart the Eurozone. Both France and Germany are expected to push for changes to the Eurozone treaty, including centralized oversight of national budget and tighter reins on debt. In a speech on Thursday, French President Nicolas Sarkozy said radical changes are needed in order to save the euro. And he said, "Let me say it here, Europe must be rethought, refounded. It is urgent. The world won't wait for Europe. If Europe doesn't change fast enough, the history of Europe will be written without it. This is France's conviction, and it is Germany's conviction. We must discuss our budget policy not so that they should be the same everywhere when situations are different, but so that they can converge rather than become more distant. Let's examine our budgets with punishments that are more automatic, more rapid, more strict for those who do not respect their commitments." As Europe weighs new measures to prop up the euro, a new United Nations report is warning the world could fall into a new global recession if countries enact harsh austerity policies and fail to stimulate their economies. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? Jomo Sundaram of UN Department of Economic and Social Affairs warned the global economy is facing a pivotal year and said the situation in the world is rather grim. We have a situation where we may well be at risk of a double dip. We also, in any case, it is very unlikely that, or likely that will be further slowdown. We know that there is much case in much of the developed world, but it's also likely to affect much of the developing world. U.S. officials are claiming their Pakistani counterparts gave approval to the U.S. military attacks that inadvertently killed 24 Pakistani troops near the border of Afghanistan last week. Speaking to Wall Street Journal, unnamed U.S. sources said the Pakistanis were unaware their forces were in the area when the strike was approved. Claim marks the latest salvo in fallout between the United States and Pakistan over the attack. Pakistan has responded by blocking all NATO logistical supplies that cross the border into Afghanistan, demanding the United Nations vacate a military base and announcing a boycott of a key international meeting on Afghanistan next week. On Thursday, protests were held across Pakistan to denounce the NATO attack. One protester said, "We want a true investigation about this incident. We want somebody to be taken to task, and we want a new government policy, foreign policy, which comes to equal level between Pakistan and the rest of the world." In other news from Pakistan, militant group Al-Qaeda is claiming to be holding in captivity a U.S. citizen who was seized at Lahore nearly 4 months ago. Citizen Warren Weinstein is a former worker for the USAID. Al-Qaeda says it will free him if the United States stops airstrikes on Afghanistan and Pakistan, among other demands. And the United Nations has officially handed formal control of its largest military base in Iraq to the Iraqi government. The transfer of Camp Victory marks the latest step in the U.S. withdrawal from Iraq by the end of the month. The Obama administration announced the pullout earlier this week after the Iraqi government refused to grant U.S. troops immunity for a longer stay. At a ceremony marking the handover of Camp Victory, Vice President Joe Biden praised the U.S. troops stationed in Iraq. And he said, "All of you sitting before me today have laid the foundation for a long-term strategic partnership between our nations, and also for an Iraq that, against all odds, can serve as a source of stability, not only for its people, but here in the region and for years to come." I think it's fair to say almost no one thought that was possible a few years ago. Despite the withdrawal, the U.S. is leaving behind thousands of private contractors. U.S. troops are expecting to be stationed in nearby Gulf states and could ultimately return under their rubric of military training for the Iraqi army. The Senate has unanimously approved new sanctions against Iran, targeting foreign companies that do business with the Iranian central bank. It is unclear if President Obama will sign the measure into law should it reach his desk. Senate move follows a vote by the European Union on Thursday to also impose new sanctions on Iran, expanding a list of targeted Iranian companies and individuals. And U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton has wrapped up a landmark visit to Burma, the most high-level visit by a U.S. official in over 50 years. On Thursday, Clinton told the ruling junta the United States will loosen curbs on international aid and development programs in response to recent steps towards a more open political process. Clinton later met with Burmese pro-democracy leader Aung San Suu Kyi, and she said, "Before we decide what steps to take, we have to find out what our greatest needs are, and of course two of the greatest needs in this country are rule of law and cessation to civil war. All hostilities must cease within this country as soon as possible." Secretary of State Hillary Clinton said, "Democracy is a goal that has been a goal from the very beginning, and yet we know that it has been a long, very difficult path that has been followed. We do see openings today." The Obama administration has unveiled new targets in expand global AIDS treatment to 6 million people, up from the earlier goal of 4 million. President Obama made the announcement at the event marking the World AIDS Day. And he said, "We know that treatment is also prevention, and today we are setting a new target of helping 6 million people get treatment by the end of 2013. To Congress, keep working together and to keep the commitments you've made intact. At a time when so much in Washington divides us, the fight against this disease has united us across parties and across presidents, and it shows that we can do big things when Republicans and Democrats put their common humanity before politics. So we need to carry that spirit forward." Massachusetts has filed suit against 5 major banks over their alleged negligence in dealing with struggling homeowners. The lawsuit targets Bank of America, J.P. Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Citigroup, and GMAC. The banks are accused of unlawful and deceptive foreclosure practices, including unlawful foreclosures, false documentation, robo-signing, and deceptive practices around modifying loans. Lawsuit could complicate the ongoing talks between banks and state prosecutors nationwide over reaching a comprehensive settlement over the same allegations. Details of the settlement had been expected sometime this month. Dozens of Occupy protesters marched in Washington, D.C. on Thursday to protest a Democratic Party fundraiser for the 2012 campaign, chanting, "We are the 99%. Protesters criticized the Democratic Party for its ties to Wall Street. One protester said, "We are here to show that the Occupy movement is nonpartisan. As a matter of fact, Homeboy just said it perfectly. The Democrats are not going to save us. We are going to save ourselves. The Democrats have just a hand in this as the Republicans do. As a matter of fact, our entire political process is mired in a myriad of corporate interest, and we know it. Democrats just like to play it off like their party for the people, but they're really not. They're playing along with it too, and we know that." Earlier on Thursday, the Occupy Wall Street movement staged parallel rallies in Pennsylvania and New York City to protest the recent shipments of tear gas from the U.S. firm to the military government in Egypt. Or a U.S. firm. Egyptian forces have used U.S.-made tear gas in an attempt to break up mass protests against military rule in Tahrir Square. In Pennsylvania, demonstrators rallied at the factory of a company, Combined Systems, which the tear gas is produced. Protesters in New York City, meanwhile, rallied outside the Egyptian consulate. And that's it today for our world news. Now another thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News.
Soundcheck Music Center, the rock and roll connection. We have guitars, amps, drum equipment, sound accessories, lessons, and repairs. We are located at 671 Maltman Drive, Grass Valley. 530-272-7236, open 7 days a week.
Something happening here, but what it is ain't exactly clear. There's a man with a gun over there, telling me I got to beware.
That's right, it's time for the police blotter and pictures in the blotter, not from these actual events, but used for visual aid only. Grass Valley Police Department on Thursday, 7:22 a.m., a caller from 100 block of Stewart Street reported the theft of subwoofers from an unlocked vehicle. Notice the word unlocked. 8:01 a.m., a caller from 200 block of Seton Way reported an assault. At 9:33 a.m., a caller reported fraud. At 10:45 a.m., a caller from 2000 block of Nevada City Highway reported a shoplifter. A man was cited and released on suspicion of shoplifting. At 12:49 p.m., a man from 200 block of Horizon Circle reported a bumblebee was in his residence and causing him to have a panic attack. The bee could not be located. 4:45 p.m., caller from 500 block of Ivy Street reported possible drug issues. At 5:15 p.m., a caller from 300 block of Mill Street reported physical fight involving two men. And at 9:45 p.m., a caller from Dorsey Drive and East Main Street reported a man yelling at noon and carrying what might have been a baseball bat. Nevada County Sheriff's Office on Thursday, 8:41 a.m., caller from 15,000 block of Penfold Place reported possible phone scam with a man saying action was being taken against his Social Security. At 8:55 a.m., a woman from 10,000 block of Pittsburgh Road reported a tree hit her house. At 9:53 a.m., a caller from Rough and Ready Highway reported a boy with drug paraphernalia. At 9:57 a.m., a man from 15,000 block of Wet Hill Road reported someone hacked into his computer. 10:58 a.m., a caller from Rough and Ready Highway in Bitten Springs Road reported large tree across the roadway. At 11:40 a.m., a caller from Penn Valley Drive and Easy Street reported a 5 or 6-year-old boy alone. He could not be located. At 2:10 p.m., a caller from Kingston Lane reported a juvenile with drugs on campus. At 3:02 p.m., a caller from 11,000 block of Rustic Road reported vandalism to a horse shed It appeared to have been caused by the wind. 3:38 p.m., a woman from 18,000 block of Cooper Road reported someone stole her computer password and was pretending to be her. And 4:51 p.m., a man from 13,000 block of Golden Eagle Way reported his wife hit him, stole all his money, and left. 6:39 p.m., a caller from Broken Oak Court reported hearing a girl screaming for 20 minutes to stop and that she was being hurt. She agreed to calm down for the night. And Friday, 12:13 a.m., a caller from 21,000 block of Wits End reported a person was running a chainsaw. And 12:26 a.m., a man from 14,000 block of Wolf Road reported two people hiding behind a sign. They could not be located. The Nevada City Police Department on Thursday, 9:51 a.m., a caller from 300 block of Sacramento Street reported a shoplifter. And Friday, 3:40 a.m., a caller from 300 block of Gracie Road reported two men in camo clothing who said they were looking for a flashlight. They were located and admonished. And that's it for the Police Blotter today. Now, thanks to one of our underwriters who supports your only visual video news media in Nevada County. That's right, it's us, GVTV News. In local news headlines, Penn Valley man arrested on car tampering charges. And Damskin case moves forward. And homeless camp sanitary conditions questioned. In today's first local story written by Liz Keller, a Penn Valley man remains in county jail after allegedly tampering with the odometer and forging a registration sticker on a car he bought and resold the very next day. Jesse J. Starr, 33, had purchased a Honda for about $700 from a woman in Grass Valley with fairly high mileage and a registration sticker that was 2 years out of date, said California Highway Patrol officer Cindy Morgan. He sold it the next day and mysteriously the odometer read 60,000 miles less, Morgan said. It also had a 2012 sticker. Starr allegedly sold the Honda for about $1,400 to a woman who was purchasing the vehicle for her son. The son noticed the title had different information and then realized the registration sticker was homemade. Morgan said he went to the State Department of Motor Vehicles and realized he knew the original owner, Morgan added. He called her and the paperwork Jesse Starr gave his mother was forged with the original owner's name. Morgan began investigating the alleged forgery and discovered Starr was on probation for an earlier forgery and was due to self-surrender for a probation violation. We were here at the probation office when he showed up and arrested him, she said. Starr was booked into county jail on suspicion of forgery of vehicle registration, forgery, unlawful alteration of an odometer, as well as for violating probation. Another viewer. In another story by Liz Keller of the Union, a Nevada County Superior Court judge denied a motion Friday that argued there was not enough evidence to hold a Montana man on drugs and weapons charges. Judge Thomas Anderson had previously ruled against a motion to throw out the evidence against Troy Damskin. Damskin was arrested October 6, 2010 when Nevada County Sheriff's deputies allegedly found drugs, cash, and a gun stashed in his truck in a trailered car with a pretext traffic stop. Damskin's attorney, Stephen Munkelt, had argued the traffic stop was not justified and that a consent to search the vehicle was unlawfully obtained. But Anderson found the deputy made a justifiable traffic stop and had reason to lift a tarp on the trailer, which reportedly released a strong odor of marijuana and triggered a further search. Narcotics Task Force members allegedly found a vial with nearly 3 grams of methamphetamine, more than 47 grams of meth hidden inside a fake WD-40 can, a loaded .38 caliber Derringer pistol, 97 hydrocodone painkillers, pills on an icebreaker's mint tin, several meth pipes, and a digital scale. They also allegedly found 15 pounds of marijuana inside the compartment walls of the trailered car and packed inside 4 spare tires and were inside the car. Damskin's 50 years old of Lewistown, Montana, had charged as possession of controlled substance while armed with a firearm, transportation of marijuana, possession of marijuana for sale, and sale of transportation of controlled substance, possession of controlled substance for sale, and being a felon in possession of a firearm. Damskin has been arrested 3 times in Montana this year, all on drug and weapons charges. He is currently out on his own recognizance on the California charges. In court Friday, Nevada County Deputy District Attorney Jim Phillips indicated his wish to set a trial date. Munkelt told the judge he wanted to clarify Damskin's legal issues in Montana first. Trial date likely will be set for the 2nd or 3rd week in February. In other court news, a Nevada County Superior Court judge found sufficient evidence that Ronald James Hauser, who was found guilty Wednesday of possession of the deadly weapon as well as being a felon in possession of a firearm and ammunition, had 2 prior strike felony convictions. Hauser was pulled over on a traffic stop on January 28, 2010, scuffled with Nevada County Sheriff deputies before being arrested. The deputies found a 24-inch metal chain and about 24 live .22 rounds of ammunition in Hauser's vest, as well as a large meat cleaver and a loaded .22 revolver in the vehicle. On Thursday, Judge Candace Heidelberger ruled that Hauser had 2 armed robbery convictions in Contra Costa County, which means his recent conviction is a 3rd strike. His sentencing has not yet been scheduled as he has pending charges for methamphetamine sales. He is set to be in court again on December 15th. In a Christopher Rosacker story out of the Union, in the woods north of East Bennett Street and southeast of Railroad Avenue on the eastern edge of Grass Valley, there is an encampment where homeless folks have squatted for years. Despite repeated evictions and cleanup attempts and nowhere else to go, campers returned and their waste has mounted. Hospitality House, Grass Valley Homeless Service Organization and Shelter, has dedicated outreach workers who haul out bags of homeless camp trash weekly, cited Executive Director Cindy Maple. Based on the age of some of the trash collected, Maple estimates the transients have sought refuge in the secluded woods east of Hill Flat Lumber and Elm Ridge Cemetery for decades. Along with a letter to local officials, Hospitality House, and Nevada County Department of Environmental Health, a retired officer produced a disc of digital photos of the tent city, which shows heaps of discarded trash, rotten food, and human excrement visible, along with patchwork tents reinforced by tarps. It is a definite environmental health issue, needs to be cleaned up immediately, said Officer Jim Amaral of the Grass Valley Police Department's liaison to Hospitality House. Although most agree that Bennett Street homeless camp is a problem, there is not much agreement about who is responsible to clean it up. The property owner, a homeless services organization or public entity, such as law enforcement or Nevada County Health and Human Services. There is so much trash out there, you aren't going to get it done in a weekend, Amaral said. It's beyond the point of being cleaned by hand. It would need a serious, coordinated effort. Hospitality House will not admit anyone into its shelter who is intoxicated as a pet with them or has a record of violent crime. For those who don't meet those admittance standards, Maple said, Hospitality House does provide tents, but never directs anyone onto private property. Many of the Bennett Street homeless campers refuse to accept services or do not qualify for shelter at the Hospitality House, Amaral added. In the letter, the retired officer blames homeless services for enabling the behavior at the Bennett Street camp. He calls on Hospitality House to bear the financial burden to clean the site. As just a citizen, this is his opinion. Yeah, that's right. This reason, the public and the innocent landowner should be burdened with these expenses, the retiree writes. Maple said Hospitality House already does its fair share of tackling homeless issues in Nevada County. Just because we are a shelter, I don't see that as giving us the burden of the whole county, Maple said. Our responsibility lies on our location, but we're trying to help. Grass Valley Police Department believes the land is out of its jurisdiction and belongs to the Nevada County Sheriff's Office, Amaral said, but the agency often coordinates homelessness efforts. According to the Nevada County records, most of the land in the area belongs to Erica Erickson, a Nevada City senior citizen. These property owners are going to have to suffer from these kinds of people doing this kind of thing, and it's not fair, Amaral added. Erickson did not invite homeless people onto her land, nor does she harbor them, she said. She has posted no trespassing signs and informed authorities that she considers the squatters to be trespassers, but she said nothing has worked. They keep coming back. I know we will have people on property, but I can't keep cleaning up after them. It is expensive, Erickson said, who noted that she donates to the food bank of Nevada County. In the coming weeks, environmental health officials plan to visit the Bennett Street camp, said Wesley Nix, Executive Director of Nevada County Department of Environmental Health. If the homeless camp is determined to pose a public threat, Nix said his department would intervene immediately. If not, Nick said his department still might be able to find funding to help the property owner clean the campsite. It disturbs me that people would destroy somebody else's property like that, Erickson said. I would never do that to somebody. Well, maybe some of the nonprofits in town will all band together and go out there and clean this place up. Site has been cleared out multiple times in the past, as recent as December 2010. That's it for local news today. GVTV News would like to thank Associated Press, Reuters, Amy Goodman, the Union, and others for the source of our news, and you for watching. Don't forget, we broadcast 3 times a day, public access, NCTV, Comcast Cable 11, and Suddenlink Channel 16 in Truckee and Alta Sierra. 8 a.m., 3 p.m., 7:30 p.m., Monday through Friday, random other times, if they put it on, and check the website schedule for those. NevadaCountyTV.org and video on demand there, and also our websites, GVTV.org and GrassValleyTelevision.com, and Rural Counties Television.network.ning.com. We also post to Facebook, YouTube, Blip.tv, and a free video podcast on iTunes. You can get us on smartphones, PSP, and many handheld devices, and talk to you tomorrow. Should be Tuesday.